Welcome and welcome, everyone. Just want to say a big thank you and welcome to Boss Ladies. Oh my God, we've got Mary, Scott and Lara. Mary, Scott, how are you today?
I'm awesome, thank you. What a beautiful day it is here in Gympie, and the sun is shining, which is refreshing.
Oh my God, and that flows next to Lara. Great seeing you, Lara. How are you this morning? What's happening in your world?
Thank you. It's awesome to be here. Thank you for hosting this amazing event again. And I would just like to say, yes, the sun is shining here in beautiful Brisbane, Kangaroo Point as well.
Oh my God, you ladies are living it up. And I just want to say a big welcome to all of our friends around the world, and thank you for tuning into Boss Ladies Summit. This is for April, and today's theme is mind, body, health, and well-being. This is a great topic for me because I burnt out really badly a few weeks ago. So I'm sort of the perhaps I'm either the last person or I'm either the worst or the best person to be running the summit, but let's see what happens. I just want to say a big thank you to our guests. Now, we're going to just unpack this topic and we're going to go through it. And what we do is, the way we have it, if you just come in, smash that like, share, comment, say hello. We're streaming to Facebook, LinkedIn, Elon Musk's X, and it's great to have you all with us. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the conversation because it's just legendary Mary and Lara. I've got a few people coming in later on. I'm just going to open up, and we're going to start with Lara. Lara, I want to ask you, what does mind, body, health, and well-being mean to you, Lara?
Oh, thank you. Well, I actually come from a mother who's a retired nurse, a bit like you, Mary, and I think one of the reasons why I admire you so much, because you just remind me of my beautiful mother. And she also went on to become a counsellor as well. So I love the work that you do, Mary. And Edward, thank you for bringing us together. So I got to meet Mary through you. So when I think of what is my body, health, and well-being, my first thoughts go to my mum, and a quote that she often says to me, which I am beginning to appreciate more and more as the years go by. And she says to me, she says, our wealth is our health.
Yep.
Yeah. So that, like in the economic society that we have today, there's a huge focus on wealth, right? It's the center of everything. However, from my mum's perspective, from what she's witnessed over her lifetime, she's now 83 and she's still going great, sharp as a tack for her age, which I'm thankful for. The thing that she keeps reminding me of is, Lara, your wealth is your health. And it's funny because then when I went and did my studies as a mature student at uni, and I studied psychology and counseling, and I remember, and this still astounds me, that I signed up for a double degree in psychology and counseling, 24 units. And the first semester, halfway through the first semester, first year foundational unit in Psychology 101, we get halfway through the textbook, halfway through the semester, and the lecturer goes, okay, so what do you think is the number one contributing factor to your mental health? Your mental health and well-being? And hands went up around the room for different answers, and then he said, okay, well, let's have a look and see what the textbook says. And we open up the textbook and it goes, nutrition. And I went, oh, nutrition, that seems really important. So then I went having a look through my double degree, all the 24 units. Okay, where's nutrition? Where does that come up? First, second, third year? Nowhere in the course. Nowhere in this double degree for psychology and counseling. Nutrition was nowhere. And I just thought, oh my God. What are we missing?
Wow. That's insane. That's absolutely abysmal, isn't it, Lara?
Yeah, it astounded me. And from that, I actually decided to, at that point, then take my education into my own hands, because I thought, right, well, if it's not prescribed in this double degree, then I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make it part of my degree, because if it's that important, that it's the number one contributing factor, I figured I've got to put that in my studies. So I switched my double degree to a major in psychology and a minor in counseling, so that I could add in another 6 units so I could learn more about the body and nutrition, because I figured this is important, right? We need to know about it. So there we go. I threw in some extra units. My degree ended up taking 4 years instead of 3. But, I am just so thankful, because I got to come to learn about the value of nutrition and how, that really is such a foundational piece of the puzzle. There we go. So, yeah.
Oh, amazing. Mary, what do you think, Mary? Thank you, Lara. Mary, tell us what you think.
Great story, Lara, because then, and I'm going to do the research after this, because this might be a little outdated, but I think you'll find if you look at what the doctors do, the nutrition part's very small. So I'm just adding that just for people to think about. For the people that are here live, thank you for being live. That's awesome. For me, mind, body, health. I'm going to add spirit to that, because if we don't have this aligned and we are not aligned with ourselves, and we don't have the appreciation of our awareness, then nothing comes together. And you can't keep going around with just this head thinking about everything without the body being part of that understanding and awareness. And I think it took me a while. That's why I was so impressed with what you said, Lara. It took me a while to get this nutritional bit, because I was always such a physical person. And what I mean by that was I started out life participating quite physically in sports, and loads of them. I hardly had any downtime. I was a great swimmer, hockey player, cricket, you name it, I did it. And so it was all about the physical. And then, of course, as I got older, I developed this huge understanding about personal development. That then kicked me into this whole thing that if you don't have your positive mind on, it's very hard to do anything else, whether it's your meditation or your self-exploration or anything physical. If you don't have this right, then I don't believe everything else lines up. And it is about alignment, isn't it? After all, we have to be aligned. And I don't know, call me a slow learner, but I feel like I'm more aligned now with all those aspects of myself than I've ever been. And beautiful. I think if you're listening to this today, I'd love to know how aligned you are. Where would you put your priorities? Because priorities are important, you know. You have to know where to put your energy, because it's funny, I was writing an article yesterday, and what struck me is how much overload we're getting if we choose to take it of information. It's ridiculous. So that's why I think this balance, and we didn't talk about balance in the beginning, has got to come in somewhere. You have to be aligned. So that's my take on it, Ed.
Oh, amazing. Now, I just want to jump in. We've got one of our great friends is coming in, the amazing Avril Durianas. She's with us right now. She's out and about, so we're going to bounce over to Avril. Avril, welcome in. How are you doing this morning?
Hi, wonderful people. I am feeling very aware, Mary.
Look at you, Avril.
How is everybody? Laura.
So great to see you.
Laura. Oh my God. We have got to catch up.
Now, Avril, just want to say welcome in. Thank you for joining us out and about. Love your drive. Now, while we got you, Avril, love to hear your reactions and thoughts to what you've heard so far, and what does mind, body, health, and well-being mean to you? Love to hear you unpack that and give us a powerful monologue, Avril.
Well, there is a main thing that we have to think about, and there is 4 keys of alignment: spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I think this is where Mary is coming from. If we're not aligned, we have a bit of dismay, and we feel like, oh, something's overcompensating, and then you have this self-doubt, limiting belief coming up. And then if you're not checking those in and say, yeah, okay, I shouldn't have said that, but let's reframe. Let's do an ed and stop there, reframe. We should say this. And then push through and learn that we are better if we give ourselves some self-love and less self-doubt, and just give it a shot. If you make a mistake, if you're not feeling fully complete, take a knee, deep breath, let it go, and refocus, realign, and go for it. Because if you're not together with yourself, you're not making the right decision for you or for anyone else that you care about.
True. Well said.
Yeah. Lara and Mary, maybe Lara first. Give us some reactions, Lara.
Well, Edward, I would love to hear your take on it, because we've heard mine and Mary's and Avril's, so let's come back to you.
Well, can I be honest with you all? I always am, but I'm going to say something. Can I be honest with you all?
Yeah.
Why not?
I'm the biggest hypocrite there is on. Oh no, we lost Avril. There we go. I hope we get Avril back. So there we go. We lost poor Avril, but Avril, we'll get you back soon. Avril, you can't trust internet. So I'm the biggest hypocrite there is when it comes to health, right? Because I'll run around basically telling everyone how to be healthy, and I burnt out quite badly a few weeks ago, right? And it was just simply just years of running on empty. And a few weeks ago, I got and I knew. I know I've been on the path to burnout for a while, but being a typical guy, I just didn't care. And it finally caught up with me a few weeks ago, and it made me really sit there and think. And I thought, how did I get here? And to me, and I actually Matt just came out and told me, hey, everyone, I've kind of burnt out. No one was shocked. But here's some of the big lessons I've learned. There's two reasons why I burnt out. Number one is lack of boundaries is one reason. Letting too much negative energy in, I would say, is a big problem. And also, too, I always feel guilty about resting because, I'm Edward Zier. I suppose I've kind of been brainwashed by my own public persona. I forget that I'm human. It's like, I'm Edward Zier, I've got to do X, Y, Z. So it's been a mixture of my own public persona brainwashing me, but also as well just letting too much negative energy in. And I just say to anyone listening, if you're on the path to burnout, stop it. Stop and think.
Yeah.
Don't just do an Edward Zier and write yourself off, which is what I did. So that's what I've done. I'm trying to really recover. But now, what do you all think? I'd love to hear all your thoughts.
Well, Edward, first of all, kudos to you for, stopping. And even if you were stopped, to take a look at yourself and think, whoa, wait a minute, what am I doing here? Because it takes something to sort of stop and figure out for a minute. Okay, so I was going along, at 100 miles an hour, and then I'm suddenly, experiencing burnout. What the exactly? maybe my body's trying to tell me something.
I've been on the path of burnout for a year, and I'm like, whatever, who cares? Like, so I've just carried on, but eventually it's like, nah, Ed, you're going to have an aneurysm the way you're going. But sorry, carry on, Lara.
Wow. Well, no, but it's great that you figured that out, right? Because I agree that rest is actually part of the journey of our health and well-being. I mean, look, I was actually religious for 20 years. I was a fundamentalist Mormon. I'm not religious at all anymore. I left the church probably about 14 years ago now, and I haven't looked back since. But I can tell you there were some good lessons that I got out of it. And one is that if the big guy, if he, in his almighty power, felt it, good enough in his grand design to take one day off a week, on the seventh day he rested, then why not for little old us, right? There must be something in this, value or importance of taking a rest, once a week. So there you go. Like, if that's something that you figured, maybe you would just go 10 to the 9s for a whole year, but then you might just take a whole month off, right? It depends on how you want to, figure the cycle out for you. Like, something's going to work for you, but it's making sure that you factor in that time to rest as well, because it's so good when we can just take a break and just allow ourselves to decompress, defragment, but also just reset. Have the body and the brain and the mind and even the focus have a chance to just get a breath of fresh air, right? Relax, let go of whatever's happened, and then be able to have some space to just reflect and go, what next? And it might even just be nothing for a while, because there can be absolute bliss in just nothing, like just space.
I just want to react to a great point from Heather Gonzalez. Firstly, just want to say, just checking with our viewers, thank you for watching. If you're here live, please say hello. I believe that is Felisa Moffat. For whatever reason, StreamYard doesn't always pick up the details, but I believe that is Felisa Moffat. But if not, correct me. And we've got Heather Gonzalez. She's come in with a great challenge. And good seeing you, Heather. I hope you're well. Heather's an amazing leader, and she says, we're responsible for all our choices. What are you getting from keeping so busy? I love that counterpoint because, in fact, I just want to throw open floor. I love Heather's counterpoint. Heather's legendary point. What do we think of Heather's legendary point?
Heather, that's a very good question.
You go.
Sorry, Lara, if you don't mind.
No, you go, April. Oh, good.
Being busy necessarily does not mean it's a bad thing. Being busy is productive in your own body, mind, and spirit. So we'll take Ed, for example. Now, he goes and he does 110 things because he knows he can do that. We might think, oh, God, I can't do that. He travels, does everything. But he, in his own right, has more capacity. So he pushes his limit. Limitless is not a bad thing. It's pushing yourselves to the next level. And that's because you're not sitting in your comfort zone and feeling, if I shoulda, coulda, woulda. And having that itty bitty shitty committee telling you that Nah, not for you, not for you. But if you don't know, you don't know. So awareness is key there. So being aware of your potential and then pushing that just a little bit, just a little bit, to get to the next level.
Yeah.
I guess Lara, sorry, go on.
No, I agree 100%. Awareness is the key. And I think that's the thing is, when you realized it, that, you were like sort of, pushing yourself, and that's okay. Like, because I think we want to have those seasons where we feel like we're, like Avril says, we're stretching ourselves a little bit more, because that's how we grow into our potential, I think, is when we're stretching ourselves. At the same time, it's also, like you say, being aware that, like, oh, I'm starting to get a bit tired now, like I've been doing this stretching and pushing for a long time. And yeah, it's just, I just had the thought of having a baby. Like, it's got to come to an end.
Just time it, Lara, and then remembering to take that few minutes to go and relax and go touch trees and go for a walk. Is very important to ground yourself. Mary, what do you think?
Well, I keep looking at this question of Heather's, because there's always a payoff, isn't there? Whatever you do, there's a payoff. So what are you getting from keeping busy? Well, what I ask myself, what's my payoff for staying busy? Well, I keep productive. I keep stimulated. And then I go, oh, hang on a minute. Why would I keep busy when it doesn't help me to be present in the moment? So you miss the moment. I remember a story from years ago, walking the Milford Track, which is one of the 7 wonders of the world in New Zealand, by the way, a beautiful place. And we had several people that were running the Milford Track. So when we got to our huts at night to say, wow, what did you see today? Because it is like all the landscape gardeners in the world came and made this pristine place. Some of those runners missed the avalanche, missed the birds, the sound of them, seeing them, missed the beauty that was in front of them. And that I didn't see that, And so I think it's a really good contrast, because contrast's always good, isn't it? The runners are running, there's the people being still, and somewhere in the middle you hope to operate that feeds and nurtures you, because I think it's about nurturing. I've burnt out as well, and it was a long time ago when burnout was a dirty word, incidentally.
Yeah.
Oh, you've done something terribly wrong if you burnt out. These days it's a bit, I don't know if it's as casual as you're doing it, Ed, but well, what's the plan of getting out of burnout? Ed's is just get on with it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of power in being present, right here, right now.
I was going to jump in. I just want to say I'm deeply offended by those runners on that track, because the influencer in me found those runners offensive, because they should have stopped and taken photos and selfies with all the artifacts. So those runners, we condemn you on every level. You're condemned. We officially... I'm going to file a censor motion against them in Parliament. So I just want to say I'm now offended and I'm triggered. There you go. So I'm triggered. Yeah, that's true though. I just want to react to that. It's a really good theme, and thank you again, Heather. And if you just come in, friends, like, share, comment, just following the conversation, let's throw in a new question and open it to our panel. And we're just got a great comment in. I'm not sure who this is, but I'm going to read out. Please just tell me who you are. I can't always get the comments from StreamYard. I believe you should always listen to your body. If you're feeling not right and you're overdoing it, don't feel guilty to take a decent break. You'll feel much better and more positive mentally. Now, the G word guilt I want to talk about, right? Because when I've told everyone, hey, everyone, I burnt out a bit, I've just gone to Edward's ear, and everyone's like, oh, finally, saw this one coming like years ago, right? Everyone said to me, I feel guilt, and we're all touching on, I feel guilty to relax. I feel guilty, right? And I feel guilty to relax too, right? It's that sort of hustle and grind culture. And I find that the feelings of being guilty causes us to burn ourselves out and create more of a problem. I just want to throw the guilt word out there. What are some of your... Oh, it is Felisa. I thought so. We love you. That's Felisa Moffat. We love you, Felisa Moffat.
Yeah. Right. I got a question, please.
I just want to react to guilt.
I've got
sorry, please.
Yeah, no, it's part of your it's part of the answer that I think you're seeking for, but it also comes a little bit before that, only because I don't think I've been through burnout. I think I'm grateful to say that I've been able to manage stress or anxiety in my life sufficient to sort of just, I don't know, somehow keep above it, which I'm thankful for. So I'm guessing that I don't feel, or I can't remember, I don't think I've been through burnout, but it makes me ask the question, how do you know? How do you know if you're experiencing burnout? Like, so I'm curious to know, because you mentioned the G word, the guilt word, is that part of it? Like, is it a trigger for it, or is it a consequence of it? Like, what are the red flags, I guess, is what I'm asking Mary Edward. Like, how would you know you're going through burnout? Like, what does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like?
Cool. Mary, how about Mary Averill take the first shot?
I think you soon know when you hit that brick wall, when you go down like a sack of potatoes, and you wake up the next morning feeling like you can't do it. And, you know, if you look at both Ed and I, we're pretty substantial people. So, but this is
good looking.
And good looking.
Mary, you missed that. But somebody make that correction. Carry on.
That's right. But I think it's that, and it's funny because the guilty is also about beliefs, isn't it? Because when you put guilt in there, then you're talking about expectations. Because guilt comes from expectations. I should have, like you said, Avril, shoulda, woulda, coulda. You know, we can shoulda, woulda, coulda ourselves to death. But I think there's a point,
Correct.
If you burn out or you're just stressed to the max, there's a point where there's some recognition within yourself that I can't keep doing what I was doing or being who I was being, which is what Ed's talking about, you know, the social media guru. Heaven forbid if he falls over, what the hell's going to happen to the world, you know?
Yeah. Or LinkedIn.
Oh, LinkedIn, yeah, exactly.
Pick his butt up. That's all we got to do. Just get your butt up, and we got to get going.
Yeah. Stop being soft, Ed. Get up, Ed.
No,
What kind of
on that?
Get out of LinkedIn prison.
I think having the correct support, the environment, and the positive people around you to uplift you when you're down on the silent level. We all go and fight our little warriors in silence, and this is something that we need to raise up, because anxiety, trauma, guilt all come down to perception and understanding who you are. And if you understand who you are, you're not going to turn around and say, well, I'm guilty. No, you took the time for yourself and validated your own self. And if you are sliding back, it's because you need that to happen for you to take that giant leap ahead. So if you understand that acts of profoundness within you to take that, because you do need to rest, you do need to stop. And burnout, it's a silent little devil. And if you don't grab it by the cojones, it'll swell up, become blue, and then you're frustrated. So you need to know when to slow release and have those spurts where you can just go, okay, I'm done now, I can move on. But if you keep on saying not now, and then you got blue balls at the end of the night, you're like, oh, this is gonna hurt, and it's in the pit of your stomach.
It's quite graphic.
Sorry.
It's straining my eyes.
I love it.
I think
This
she's
is great.
describing what it looks like.
Yeah.
No, because
Got my kahunas and blue balls. This is awesome.
No, because the thing is, it's like it's the worstest thing ever. Okay, if I don't go to the guy side, let's go to the girl side. It's like having a tipful of breast milk, and it's so hard to get it out, and it's so cold and painful. It feels like you're carrying big rocks on your chest. That's what it feels like, and you're like, I need to get this milk out, and you're like trying to express it, and as soon as you express it, you feel so or a big pee in. You need to. You're just like, oh, I need a toilet. No, I can wait. So you let go. It's like, you know what I mean?
This is really good. I'm getting loud and clear. Thank you. I'm getting really loud and clear what it looks like.
Exactly, because if you don't get it, and if you're not aware, this can cause long-term shiny ball syndrome, imposter syndrome. You got to see it when it comes in, and if you're aware and you feel the urge, you're like, listen, I love to chat, but I really need to excuse myself, release myself of gas and fluids. 1 second, be right back. Come back, and you're like, okay, now I can focus, right?
Okay, this is good. This is helping me understand what it looks like, what it feels like. What would it sound like? What sort of things would, like, because the reason why I want to know is because I care about my friends and my family. And if I ever hear any of them like saying things, it might make me think, oh, could they be going through burnout? So that I can then maybe offer some suggestions of, hey, do you need to take a break? So what sort of things would someone who's facing burnout, what sort of things would they say? What would be in their language? How would I know?
Negative chit chatter, and also be careful with that, because what you pursue to be negative chit chat could also be a motivation thing for them. So it's always good to just check in. Hey, everything's going. Yeah, I had a shit day. Oh, dig deep a bit, dive in, let them explore and release what they're feeling, rather than say, oh, you are, and point the finger, because that can be triggering. Just get them to talk a bit more about this. So what do you think, Mary? Am I off, or am I peeing the right area?
I think be their friend.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not about being having solutions. I think it's let's sit down, have a cuppa together. Let's go and let's visit the botanical gardens and have a wander around. I was thinking about that. Would that be something you would like? Because sometimes we can't always articulate what's going on, even though you might see body language that looks like they're having a crap day, clearly.
Yeah.
It's another thing to be displaying that from a body, a physical sense. It's another thing to actually articulate how I might be feeling on that particular day. And it is about the simple things. It's about the little things, isn't it? You see, we've got so fancy Nancy, I call it. We've got so damn fancy, we've forgotten what it's like to stay with simplicity and straight out kindness.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, just want to wrap now. We lost Avril for now, but she'll probably come back in later. We love Avril, and she made some good points. And just want to check in and let us know your questions and thinking. And I think it's incredible. I think, and Felisa Moffat, who's with us, made a great point before that I want to react to. And this is talking about the symptoms of burnout. And in Felisa's case, and I'll tell you my symptoms, is tiredness, pains in the chest, and being really run down, right? In my case with burnout, I know it was coming, right? So in my case, it was being aggressive, actually. I was getting very aggressive, very short, very aggressive, and feeling tired, right? And feeling a lot of brain fog, those sort of symptoms. And it's interesting because when I started talking about it, everyone else said, everyone's been here to support me, and thank you, great. And it's been great recovery. However, a lot of people said, oh, me too, or Ed, I'm on the path to burnout too. And that's one of the biggest things I want to say, because I know so many of you watching, if you haven't burnt out, you're on the path to burnout. And I hope that this live stream acts as a pattern interrupt to get you to stop and think. What do you think, Lara? I can see Lara bursting with brilliance. There you go.
Oh, well, it's interesting hearing the symptoms, and thank you for spelling it out. I think it's really helpful because, interestingly enough, this week I woke up on Tuesday and I had a bit of a funny tummy, and I thought, oh, that's odd. Usually I always feel good there. And then I noticed that my head was just at the front here, was just feeling a bit tight and a bit sore. And, I wanted to sit down and do my work at the computer, but I just felt a bit, I don't know, like cloudy or groggy in my mind. It just seemed a little bit hard to focus. And I was doing a Zoom with my daughter, and she was doing some study and I was doing some work. And it felt like it took me about 25 minutes to try to get into my zone to be doing my work. I mean, I was doing it, but I wasn't 100% in it like I normally am and want to be. And I'm trying to think, what did I do to help? Oh, I take these nootropics. And so that's like a sachet of just nutrients that I pour into water, and I stir that up and I have a drink of that. And so maybe that sort of kicked in after about 25 minutes and my head did clear and I was able to do some work, but I only managed to go about half an hour. She had to go off and do other things. And then I thought, I think I just want to take a nap. I just want to put my head down and sleep. Even though I'd had a good night's sleep, I just wanted to go back to bed and sleep again. So I did, and I woke up after about, I don't know, half an hour, and I felt a little bit better, but I still felt like, I don't know, I still don't feel like I'm, like, I don't know, got energy to do the things that I wanted to do. So I thought, I don't really want to look at a screen because I've got to wear glasses when I'm on the computer. So I thought, I'm just going to lay on the couch and just see what happens if I just rest. And I napped. I just fell asleep. And yeah, I'd had a good sleep. So I thought, all right, I'm just giving in to my body, whatever it needs. I'm not going to try and push it or anything. And so I ended up just sleeping, napping on and off. And then I got to about 4 o'clock. And I'm like, oh, I haven't really done any work. I should get on the computer. There's the should, right? or the G word, the guilt. Like, I've got to get back to it. But then I thought to myself, no, you know what? Like, the day's almost done. If I haven't been able to do any work now, I just thought maybe I just need a day off. So I thought I'm just going to rest a little bit more and just zone out, not even think about work. So I put on some TV. I watched about an hour of that. A friend called. I talked to them for a bit. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm ready to just have a little bit of food and go to bed. And so I did. And the next day I woke up, my tummy was better, but my head was still sore and a bit groggy. And so I thought, I still don't feel like doing much. And so I waited. I just waited until I felt like I could. And then I thought it was probably about lunchtime. And I thought, I feel like I can get on the computer and do a bit more again now. I did for a couple of hours, but, and I followed up on messages and calls and that. And then it was like, I just need to rest again. And so I canceled dancing. I didn't go dancing. But then my dance teacher said, oh, don't worry. Like, you're not the only one. She mentioned 4 other friends who had also been out with a bug. And I thought, okay, well, maybe it's not just me. Maybe there's something going around. And so then I thought, right, I'm just going to have another early night. I did. The next morning I woke up, I felt a hit better, but still not 100%. And I thought, when I'm feeling good enough, like I can go out and drive again, like that's when I know I'm feeling good, is when I'm happy and want to go out and drive. I thought I'm going to go get a flu shot. So I went and did that this morning. Still feeling, though, not quite 100% yet. Like, how I know I'm 100% is I want to go indoor climbing. And indoor climbing is not my first love, but the fact that I want to go and do it to me is a good sign that, all right, I got my strength, I'm good to go. And I'll go do that, with my friends. So yeah, still feeling like 85%. So that's, I guess, how for me, I sort of gauge myself and my symptoms to know if I need a rest. I don't know if that's like signs of burnout or if it was a tummy bug. So that's why I'm asking these questions. Like, how do you know?
Just jumping in, while you're all talking, I jumped on Elon Musk's Grok 3, which is the most advanced mass market AI platform, and I've got the symptoms of burnout. Would you like me to go through them?
Please do.
There we go. As per Elon Musk's Grok. So I'll just condense it for the sake of not boring everyone. Burnout is a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion, often caused by prolonged stress, overwork, and lack of balance. Top symptoms: chronic fatigue, feeling persistently tired or drained, even after rest. So if you rest and you still feel tired, sign of burnout. Lara, this is me. Cynicism or detachment. This is where I go, where I'm just don't care, angry, pissed off at everything. Reduced performance. Emotional exhaustion. Physical symptoms such as headaches, muscle tension, stomach pain. Ooh, Lara. Inability or mood swings, becoming easily frustrated, short-tempered. Yeah, that's me. I really like that. And loss of motivation. Now, according to this list, I think you experience according to this, these symptoms that you experience fit burnout, according to this.
Wow. Okay. So does it offer does it offer a remedy? What does it suggest there?
Oh, of course not. It just tells you that you're something. No, just kidding. It's so that's a good question. So let's continue the chat. What are the solutions to burnout? There you go. This is a good one, actually. And thank you, Elon Musk.
And then I'm curious to know, of its answers, which ones did you guys just inherently know and do? What worked for you?
I'm going to go through this and we're going to get Mary, because I see Mary Scott's about to explode and throw a PC across the room. But here's the solutions, according to Elon Musk's Grok. Rest and recharge. Set boundaries. To me, boundaries are very important. That's where I go wrong. Reassess priorities. Physical activity. Mindfulness and relaxation. Social support. Reconnect with purpose. Time management. Seek professional help and lifestyle adjustments. Mary, I can see you exploding with brilliance. Tell us what you think, Mary Scott.
Well, my gosh, I think, firstly, I'll say this. When you do what you just did, it's so easy to line up your symptoms with that and then take a deep dive into it. So you got to be mindful of that, because you're not always your symptoms. That's a bit of trickery, I think. And I think the fact that we have AI at our fingertips and Mrs. Google, sometimes we can use it to our detriment. So I'll say that about that and leave the viewers up to them to think about this. But I think less is more. It's always been so. You do less, more comes from it. And sometimes you have to go slow to go fast. And what I mean by that is, if you just start to do things from a mindful place, your priorities come, and then you start working to your flow and your strengths. And I think one of the things that I see out there with my clients is that they're trying to be all things to all people. Keep in your own lane.
Say more.
Stop.
Can you describe that?
Well, I think that there's so many shiny objects that we look, and then we think about comparison for one. We're comparing, Edward Zia, look at him. He can just keep going.
Unstoppable.
And this is very applicable to Queenslanders at the moment, but if you see the damn storm coming, batten down the hatches and do what's required. And I think you have to do that for your life. But quite often we do what Ed was saying, and I've done it heaps of times. Oh, I'll be right. She'll be right. Such an Australian thing, isn't it? She'll be right. And then suddenly you're not right. So if you see the storm, batten down the hatches, do what you need to do for yourself. And I always ask the question of what is it that I need right now that will make me happy? What is it I need? Because sometimes you don't know what you need. You know what you don't want. Let's face it, that's the easy one.
True.
But I think from that comes from some real gems that are applicable to you, because it's so easy to get caught up on what other people think you ought to do.
Wow. Be true to you. Tune into you and what you need to be happy.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Now, it's a pleasure. Now, I was just going to react to all that. This is absolutely brilliant. And I think it's a really good point, because, and I'm going to blame it on the zeitgeist. So for those around the world, I use the word zeitgeist. Zeitgeist is obviously German. Zeitgeist is basically a reference to the culture, how society thinks. In other words, we're all impacted by what the society and culture thinks. And to me, not to me, to a lot of people, but I'm just simply saying this, is that burnout is dishonorable. It's a bit of a taboo. Like, if you burn out, it means you're weak. And if you rest, it therefore means that you're not, you're being selfish and that sort of thing. I was having this great chat with one of our great friends, actually, quite a few of them. And they were brought up, this is Karen Clark, actually. Karen Clark wouldn't mind me referencing her, right? So Karen Clark, what Karen Clark says is, and we were both brought up in different ways, but similar beliefs. So one view is that it's selfish to take care of yourself. So self-care is selfish, because how dare you take care of yourself where you got to look after everyone else? And I saw Mary explode there. Mary and Lara, tell us what you think. That's what Karen Clark and I both have, that poisonous viewpoint that we totally don't like. What do you think, Mary and Lara?
I think that's what we grew up with. Don't you go getting selfish now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
It was never, ever cultivated, certainly in my world, to take care of yourself. What are you thinking? Why the hell would you do that? And that's something I've had to overcome.
Yeah, and self-care. Yep. And adding to that, Mary, self-care didn't even come into my vocabulary until I was in my 50s. I just turned 57. And so I waited 50 plus years to have the word self-care even enter my vocabulary, to know what it is, or that it's something that I can actually go and do for me.
Exactly. So, I'm reading this. I got into Felicia's comment there.
Yeah. So I'll read it out to our audience. So great comment from Felisa Moffat. Please thank you, Felisa. That's a great example, Mary.
Nice.
I've slowed down after months and months of work and sit down and have a coffee. And just adding to Felisa, Felisa's amazing. Felisa has really slowed down as well. And I think that's it. I think, again, going back to the zeitgeist, which still goes on today, it's like hustle culture. We hear about today hustle culture. You got to hustle and do this and that. And what I found is, I'm having a shot at some of the big influencers now. I'm not going to mention it, but I'm just going to have a shot at some of the big influencers. A lot of the big influencers in sort of the guru world, so to speak, a lot of them used to run around and talk about hustle culture and how important it is, and don't be lazy and all that. Then a bunch of people started getting, really sick and started collapsing after, a few months of hustle culture. Then they went back to said influencers and said, hey, you told me to hustle. I got really sick now thanks to you. I might consider suing you. Only for then big influencers turn around and put on a loincloth and talk about balance. And I think it's part of the zeitgeist. Like, I think now with hustle culture, I think hustle culture is contributing to a lot of the problems that we're experiencing today. What are your reactions to that, Lara and Mary?
Well, I would say that you're probably right on the money with that, Ed. I'm curious to know then if we swing, like on the pendulum from hustle to hustle and grind, to burnout, or actually maybe is that enforced self-care? Maybe is that the body saying, all right, like you completely ignored me over here for 8 or 9 months or 12 months, and now I'm having some time for me, and you can go do whatever you want to do, but like I'm just taking time out for me right now. So if that's the pendulum, in the art of finding balance, in between, what does that then look like, and what is it something that we can do on a regular basis to try and prevent this sort of erratic sort of pendulum swinging?
I think in some respects we have to have the pendulum throw us right out there and then out there, because we have to know the contrast to know what to choose. A lot of the challenges we don't know the contrast. That's why we're hanging out on one side of the pendulum. And when you know that, and then you can start to come back, you'll find this place. When you think about the pendulum, if you give it a good kick, it does that for a while, and then it goes back to here. And that's why I love contrast so much, because suddenly I know what I don't want, which gives me a massive hint about what I do want.
True. Yes.
Wow. Well, and just a quick reaction, just from Avril. We love your Avril. Avril's phone died as we suspected. So there we go. Live streaming from your phone. She's like 1% a minute. So that I'm very well. I've done it before, right? So there we go. But Avril loves us all. Avril says a big hello. And I think it's incredible. I think, I think this, I'm loving where this live stream has gone. We've gone in a mind, body, and health and well-being direction from almost a burnout point of view. And I think it's fair to say, because everyone's burning out, right? A lot of people are burning out or dealing with symptoms of burnout. And I would argue, Lara, that you were dealing with symptoms of burnout earlier. According to, I know grok isn't everything, but according to this, you tick probably half the boxes for burnout. Wow.
So have I done what needs to be done to remedy that? And am I going to be okay moving forward?
Well, Dr. Ed, who burnt out a few weeks ago, says, and I'm not a doctor, is I'm going to give a very individualistic answer, right? Very individualistic answer is that different things affect us in positive and negative ways, and I think it's good to be really in touch with ourselves. What causes us negative stress? I think it's very good to say what causes, because what will stress me may be fun to Mary. What's fun to Lara might stress me, right? So we don't know that. So I think it's being very mindful. And this is one of the things I want to talk about. And a lot of mothers experience this, right? I've talked to a lot of mothers, is that, and I've been a leader. I'm not a mother, but I've been a leader my whole life, whether I like it or not. I've always been officially or unofficially the guy in charge that people look up to, and I've always carried people along, right? And I always put myself last on the list. And interestingly, is that I think and I know Mary and Lara, you're natural leaders. When you're a natural leader, people will naturally give you all their problems because you're the one that helps them solve it, right? But then no one's solving your problems. And I think that's an interesting thing. So I just want to bring it back. I want to talk about leadership for the moment. I want to react to leadership from a mind-body health point of view. Let's start with Mary. I can see you churning terabytes of data.
Well, I think the power of leadership is knowing how to follow, firstly. Because leadership comes with quite a lot of responsibility. And I think that leadership is also about wisdom. And in our wisdom as leaders, we must seek other leaders that we too can follow and be nurtured from. Because, you know, certainly in my business, I never ask anyone to do something I've never done myself. What's the point of that? Because I want to know the experience. It's my experience, it's not yours. But I think leadership is something to be fostered. It's something to be cultivated. And as a leader, that's our responsibility, I believe, to help others to rise up and step up into that place of leadership and greatness. Now, there's a word, that can be a dirty word. You know, step up into your greatness. We have so much greatness, you know?
Yeah, I would like to speak about nourishment. Thank you for raising the topic of leadership, Mary, because for me, leadership, I think great leadership is founded on great nourishment. And, you know, so then I would ask the question, you know, for people out there who are leaders or who aspire to be leaders, from where do they source their nourishment, you know, to help them to stay balanced, to stay above the, you know, the day-to-day responsibilities or, you know, solving people's problems. Like, where do they seek their nourishment from, or what is their source of nourishment? Because we need something to like fill our own cups as well, right? So that we can continue to overflow and be a blessing to others.
Oh, absolutely. And that, I mean, at the risk of sounding repetitive, that's why I have this absolute belief about cheer squads. Doesn't matter where you are and what you do, everyone needs a cheer squad. And that's how we gain nourishment, because it's not always intrinsic, is it? It has to be from other sources, because you can't keep sustaining yourself. Many people have tried, but I think it's about having a carefully selected cheer squad this actually enables us. You know, look at the community that we all belong to. It's a very powerful community. You know, it's got a lot of support, a lot of nourishment. We even have some good laughter. Oh my gosh, heaven forbid. You know, but this is all what nourishes us. This gives us the strength. That's what it's all about, I think. And it doesn't matter who you are. You all need a cheer squad, just the same as you need to boot up the backside every now and again.
Yeah.
And I want to react to that, because boundaries is something that's very important, because I'm supporting a lot of people who have, because I just burnt out temporarily and I'm bouncing back from it. I'm a pretty resilient guy. I know a lot of people I'm supporting who are way worse on the burnout spectrum than me, right? Way worse on that, and I'm supporting them now. And probably at least 5 people I know have burnt out really badly, and I've been doing my best to support them through that process. And what a lot of it is that a lot of people's burnout comes from some kind of antagonist. So in other words, it comes from low boundaries. They have people in their life who are sending them doing the opposite of cheer squad. They'll have people, they'll have an anti-cheer squad that bombards them so much with toxic energy every day that these people are just running on empty. And one big reaction I've said to a lot of people, I don't know, that's originally when I did my master's in NLP, is that you have to create boundaries. You have to have really good boundaries. And I want to bring, now I know I'm a dude and I'm well aware of that, but I think as well, I want to bring sort of, you know, gender and femininity into it, even though I'm a dude, is that I've said, and women have told me this, so I'm not saying this out of school, but I think men generally have higher boundaries than women. And I think part of that reason is that because women are so caringly awesome emotional creatures, they naturally have lower boundaries, which is great from helping people. but it lets in a lot more negative energy. Am I being a sexist misogynist, or do you think there's some reason to that?
Yeah, I don't think you're being sexist at all. I'm just going back to, you know, what I remember in my learnings when I was doing psychology counselling as to the gender differences, right? Is that you're right, men do have natural boundaries because of the patriarchal order that they're wired for, which is essential, you know, for the way society kind of, you know, has evolved, but also like sustains us. And so, you know, for women, according to the research, that, you know, the gender research, they tend to have more of a collective mind. You know, they want to do things together. So yeah, it might look like lower boundaries, but it actually helps them to get shit done. You know, so like, you know, there is power in you know, in the group mind, in figuring things out together and getting problems solved. So I absolutely get the gender differences, and I think that they're there for good reason. And I think both can serve us. You know, and we probably switch in and out at times as well as to, you know, our masculine or feminine type energy for whatever the situation is and is requiring, so that we can engage, you know, either those boundaries, you know, or priorities for how we're going to handle things, or, you know, who we're going to ask, you know, for support in those areas. Versus, okay, well now, you know, like I'm opening things up because, you know, I want to invite more people in. I want to have that group energy to help things, you know, accelerate or expand, you know, more strategically, you know. So yeah, I think it, as a great psychologist would say, it depends.
I'm getting some real Jordan Peterson vibes from you, Lara. So there we go. You're totally vibing Jordan Peterson, who I love. There we go.
I think, you know, I think over the years, and I've been on the planet a bit longer than both of you, but I think what I'm observing now is that, especially with the younger guy, some of them are quite boundaryless. They're not sure, because culturally we're embracing and helping and supporting men to show their feminine side way more. And for some reason, which I'll navel gaze after we get off this call, but for some reason that does release the boundaries. And you were talking about patriarchal. My gosh, I was thinking, don't tell me she's saying that's how we should live our life. I'm certainly weren't. But that's quite structured, quite strong, quite overpowering. So I won't go into that. But I think, yes, there is differences. But I've noticed over the years that there's a lot more men that have no idea of their boundaries. I watch them go into people's personal space all the time. And I think if there's a particular group, I think mothers are the people that are pouring from the empty cups, by the way. They keep pouring, even though, well, let's call it jugs, not cups. They keep pouring even when there's nothing left because they're busy mothering. And I think some dads do the same. So I'm going to keep it balanced, because children usually are given everything from parents or carers. And that's when I think we get a bit confused, because let's face it, sometimes it's hard to say no to that gorgeous little face, that little one that's got you sucked in, and you hear grandparents saying that, oh, here we go. He's going to wind me in again. Oh, hang on a minute. If you know that, do something about it. Help that little person.
Help them.
I'll give you an example. Where I live, I don't know whether it's just the alignment, but the house that's, hope you're not watching, that's diagonally opposite to me, they have a very big veranda. And once a week, I know when the grandchild's there, because I hear her running these people ragged. And they're there. Their boundaries has gone out the door. And they do it for more than 6 hours. At the end of the day, I say, I salute you. I wouldn't have put up with that. But I notice that's what happens. And let's not be drawn in. And like some people say, well, that's the grandparents' prerogative. Well, I'd say, yeah, but at the end of the day, the grandparents have got to be upright. You've got to nurture yourself. And I believe very strongly in boundaries. And one thing that I will say and people that know me will go, here she goes again. But I, for example, do not hug everyone because I think that is a compulsive thing that needs to be kept in check. I don't think it's okay to hug everyone. I'm very discerning who I hug. It's not something I do just off the cuff. Unless I really like you, I'll hug you because I want to protect me. I don't want, you know, and here's the picture that you got to be sus about. Can you give me a hug? Come on. You know, and that's coming from a place of deficit. That's coming, and to me, that's just, no, thank you. And so people want to suck the living blood out of you. So you have to be careful. And for a while, people used to say, oh, that's right, you're the woman that doesn't want to be hugged. It's not like that. I'm very firm about my boundaries. I'm very particular who comes into my personal space. And I want to encourage everyone, because I'm on the bandwagon now, to do exactly the same damn thing every day for yourself. There you go.
If I can supportively react to that is, and I know what you mean, is so you have a totally legit boundary. You know, I don't want to hug everyone. Some people are disgusting, right? I don't want to hug them. They can go to hell, right? But what's funny is you have your boundary, you enforce your boundary, and then they accuse you of enforcing your boundary. And to me, that's classic gaslighting. So in other words, they'll say, hi, Mary, you deserve to have your boundaries. Okay, I don't want to hug you. Oh, you're just mean, Mary. So in other words, they set you up to fail, right? So they'll deliberately test your boundary. Then when you enforce your boundary, then they criticize you of defending your boundaries, saying how mean and evil you are.
That's right. You got it. You've got it in one.
Classic gaslighting. What do you think, Lara? What do you think of gaslighting and all that cool stuff? Not.
Yeah, I've been subjected to it. I had a one of my marriages was DV. And
I'm sorry.
Yes. No, that's okay. It's interesting that I've had to pass through that experience and see what that's like, and were there lessons that I gained, that I learned from that? Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest lessons I learned from that is the power and protection and sanctity we have in respecting our own boundaries. You know, like we talk about how there's others out there who've got negative energy, and it's learning to read that and, you know, be able to identify that, you know what, okay, if they're kind of, you know, oscillating at that frequency or energy or whatever on that particular day, or even just in that particular moment, and that's nowhere near where you are, that you just kind of have to like back away. You don't need to get into their space, you know, because there could be stuff that gets flicked out and into your face. So you just gently back away and just let them be, you know, wherever they're at. I mean, there are ways strategically, if you are, you know, able to, that you can actually help them calm down, and you need to sort of rise up and let them know, hey, I noticed that you're feeling this. Is that what's going on for you? And you can sort of help to talk them down, you know, and tame whatever it is that they're feeling. But at the same time, you know, having lived through a DV marriage for 6 years and experiencing that every day, I can tell you that for me, trying to be the therapist in that relationship, that was not my role, and I didn't see it as my responsibility. So I learned to just be careful. And okay, some people would say it's walking on eggshells, but at the same time, it's also me honoring my own boundaries and respecting that, you know what, this person's having a bad day, and that doesn't need to affect me or who I am, you know, or my day. And I can just gently back away and that they'll do whatever they're doing, and that's okay. And hopefully they'll be able to calm down, and I just be patient, you know. Yeah, that was my lesson from it, I think, when it comes to other people's negative energy and how do I respond to that.
Well, that doesn't mean, I think what you're saying is a good point, because the way someone is reacting we don't need to make it about ourselves, and quite often we do. They're doing this because, and it's got to be something to me, and people get offended and they're like, oh, no. And mostly it's nothing to do with you, absolutely nothing to do with you, because like you say, some people just have crappy days, some people aggro, some people are et cetera, and I think that's what I mean by stay in your own lane. Don't get drawn into all that. Stay with you and your flow, and the way people are reacting is quite often nothing to do with you. And I think the key is, another hot topic of mine is, you have to pause and you have to respond. If you don't take the time to respond, you have a reaction. So pause, respond. It's a good rule of thumb. And have I always got that handled? No, I don't.
Yeah.
However, I've learned, just like you were talking about, by the way, a fairly cathartic learning, and to be involved in 6 years in that is pretty horrendous, by the way. I take my hat off to you. But I think we have to just keep ourselves in check.
Yeah. And ask ourselves, how do we want to respond? You know, like, because we always have a choice, you know, whether we, you know, get involved or not. And sometimes, you know, it might be easy to think, oh, I don't have a choice, or I didn't have a choice. But, you know, like every time we take a breath, if we can be conscious of just breathing, like that can be enough of a moment for us to catch ourselves and go, I choose to respond differently. You know, like I'm not going to be drawn into that. I can have my own power in, you know, how I respond to that, or not respond to it.
Yeah, that's right.
This actually reminds me of a great movie scene, and we'll wrap up in the next few minutes as well, is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I know I'm showing my age here, but love Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. What sets up the film is they have like a prequel moment where it's Indiana Jones as a kid, right? On one of his first, you know, artifact heists, and played by River Phoenix, who tragically died of a drug overdose. Tragic. Yeah, in that, Lara knows the scene, in that prequel setup, what happens was the young Indiana Jones loses the heist, but then one of the guys he lost against actually gave him his hat and said, sorry, kid, sorry that you lost today doesn't mean you have to like it. And I thought, I always love that line, right? Just because you lost or someone's annoying you doesn't mean you have to like it. And yep, at times you might get forced to do things you don't want to do, but who cares? It doesn't mean you have to like it. So I believe in always, you know, be it a situation, a person, a company, or an employer, nothing beats a bit of resistance. And so I just want to make that point. Now, we've reached an hour for Boss Ladies. I want to say a big thank you. And what we're going to do is we're going to finish with closing monologues. I usually go half a minute to a minute, but we're going to hear a closing monologue from our legendary panelists. We'll start with Mary, then a closing monologue from Lara. And this is Mary and Lara's opportunity to wrap up what they're saying and give a good closing message. And just want to say a big thank you. If you're here, like, share, comment. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching the recording, please like, share, comment too. Now, Mary Scott, let's hear your closing monologue and thoughts. Over to you, Mary Scott.
Well, closing usually takes about 15 minutes, so I'll paraphrase. I want to say the invitation here on the table is to develop self-awareness, to develop and learn to be in the present here and now, so that you can not only support yourself, but you can support your friends. And build yourself a cheer squad that serves you, so everyone can be of service to each other. And if you see someone that's stressed and had enough, a little bit of kindness goes a long way. So do yourself a favor. That's my invitation. Check in with yourself today. Be present. Be right here, right now with yourself, because that'll help you immensely out in the world of craziness to be true to yourself and stay in your flow. Thanks for watching.
Oh, here. What a great, and everyone connect with Mary Scott, an amazing lady and brilliant leader. Big thank you, Mary Scott. And Lara Arden, love to hear your closing monologue and thoughts.
Thank you. Well, I would just like to express my gratitude and say thank you, Edward, for hosting this wonderful catch up and chat about mind, body, health and well-being for International Health Day. And I would love to say, Mary, thank you for reminding us to gather together our troops, our cheer squad, because I think it's really important for us to remember that we're not alone in this journey, that there is others out there who are experiencing stuff that, you know, might be new to us if we haven't faced burnout before, or they have faced it before, and we can turn to them for help as well, like yourself or Edward, you know. And then my heart goes out to Felisa at the moment. She couldn't be in the studio with us, but, you know, she's also been experiencing a little bit of burnout and trying to do something about that. So, you know, sending blessings your way, Felisa, and hope you're feeling better again soon. And then also to Avril, who's written that amazing book that, you know, I would love to invite people to check in and connect with Avril. It's the key to awareness. So, if you're ever wondering, how can I, get on top of this stuff to be aware of it, then, please connect with Avril. And as to me, I would just like to say, yes, I'm here to help people overcome their imposter syndrome and their self-doubt, to help them, feel great about who they are and putting themselves forward and their people and projects, because it's all about having fun at the end of the day as well. We can be happy with what we do.
You're a rock star, Lara. You're a rock star. Seriously. Good for you.
There we go.
You.
And I just want to say that brings us to the end of our Boss Ladies. It's been such a pleasure having you with us. And people know we got music now, we got backgrounds, we got all the bling, we got all the glitz and glamour. But just a quick reaction, please connect with Lara, connect with Mary Scott, and also connect with Avril Jurianans, who was with us earlier on the call. And to our other Boss Lady panelists, we hope to get to see you next time. So I just want to say thank you all, Mary Scott, Lara, and thank you, friends.
Thank
Keep up the
you.
great work, everyone. Keep staying awesome.